Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to, in my favorite coffee mug, which of course is the logo of my channel. Coffee with no Kahlua. Okay, so it is... Don't mind me. Today it is Tuesday, September 22nd. It is 12:30 p.m. I'm in my apartment in Sunnyside, Queens. And today's topic is, what should I call it? I guess adaptation or adapting, specifically like to age and growing older. And I wanted to do this video because every Friday at 4 o'clock I see my therapist and via Zoom. Actually WhatsApp. So a few weeks ago we were conversing, and I don't even really know how it came up, but somehow it came up about like getting older. And you know, I'm 55. He, I think, is like in his late 60s, gay as well. And then I don't know how it even came up, but we mentioned that conversation came up of how we as gay people versus straight people, how we tend to adapt to like growing older, I guess, better. And so anyway, that just opened up this whole can of worms. So I guess I wanted to sort of like give my view on that. So, excuse me, must be something I ate or someone I ate. I mean, something. So we were saying how because of the fact that like we as gay people have been discriminated against our whole lives, it almost like makes us better at handling things, because when you have faced so much obstacles and adversary in your life because of your sexual orientation, then you know when you're used to, I guess, being like put down and discriminated against because of that, then I just kind of feel like it toughens you up a bit and you just deal with things better. Like something like old age or just like, you know, life in general, I think, you know, even like with this whole like coronavirus, yeah, like, you know, we all have our moments with it, but like I when I speak to some of my friends, I have noticed where my gay friends handle it a little better than my heterosexual friends. And then I think to myself, you know, I wonder if it's because we have been, you know, dealing with all of this discrimination our whole life. And so fast forward, then I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, one of my best friends who lives in LA, who is a person of color. And I was saying how as gay people, you know, because we have faced all of this discrimination our whole lives, you know, we're better equipped. And then, you know, and I did also mention in that same conversation that, you know, because this is basically a straight world we live in, and I've always said this is essentially a straight white world we live in. So if you're anything other than a straight white male, then you do get treated differently. Then it was interesting because then when I was telling him how I wanted to do this video, then all of a sudden it became this conversation where, you know, well then who has it worse, you know, people of color versus being gay. And then it suddenly became this whole race thing with him, which I was like, well, I get that. And I think because I said that it was a straight white world we live in, that opened up that can of worms. And that's not what I wanted this to be about. And I said, well, no, the whole point of this video is about adapting. And so then I brought up this conversation again with my therapist. I said, you know, I was talking to my best friend and he brought up this point. So it's kind of neat that I was like bouncing off both of them. So then in speaking to my therapist again about it, he brought up a very good point, which is that, you know, I guess the main difference is when you think about it, like as gay people, even within our own culture, we get discriminated against. So like as a Hispanic male, knock on wood, this didn't happen with my family, but you hear all of these stories about uh, males and females coming out to their family and then getting disowned, and then suddenly getting kicked out. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen any other way. I mean, with any other situation. Like, it's like I said to my friend, okay, well, if you're a person of color, you're not going to one day announce to your family, well, I'm a person of color, and you're going to be kicked out, because they are too. So the point is, like, yeah, when you look at, and I hate comparing one to the other, but I guess the overall thing is, when you look at it that way, unfortunately, being gay has always been something that I guess puts us all the way at the bottom of the totem pole. And the key thing there is, there could be prejudice and discrimination, like, one race against another race, but within your own culture, if you are gay, you face a lot of discrimination. Even just in terms of, like, gay rights, or, like, it doesn't happen as much now, but, like, getting fag bashed. So, like, early on in the late 60s, if you were at a gay bar, you could get arrested. Like, so when you look at it that way, when you look at all of the things that we've gone through, yeah, we have had it hard, and I think that has sort of made us deal with things better. So that's sort of and it goes like to so many other levels, like even with, like, with this whole pandemic that we're in. Well, we dealt with the AIDS epidemic, and remember early on when that first was happening, by and large, it was gay people that were getting affected by it and were unfortunately dying in large numbers. Then it became where, like, then it didn't discriminate, but very early on, it really was just gay people initially and IV drug users that were unfortunately dying of that horrible disease. So, like, even as someone who has survived that, and as someone who, I've been honest about this, I've been HIV positive for 27 years, and I'm 55 years old. And, people always tell me I don't look it, so knock on wood for that. But, like, when I think that I'm 55, I don't freak out about it. Whereas, like, I hear some of my straight friends, oh my God, I'm 55, and they, like, freak out. Not me, but, even so, to go back to the early on AIDS epidemic, just the fact that we have survived that, it does sort of make everything a little easier, or it makes it easier to adapt to things, specifically getting older. And, even I remember back then, like, you would hear these stories of, like, you didn't even have job security. Like, there was a time where you could get fired from your job if they found out you were gay. Or, especially early on with the AIDS epidemic, if they found out you were gay, then a lot of times they assumed that meant, oh my God, you have AIDS, and then you would get fired. So when you think of that, yeah, we have had it rough. And I think the fact that things like that have happened, but we have persevered, I think that makes that makes gay people as a whole, and I'm generalizing, but that makes gay people more equipped to adapt to things like getting older or anything that's thrown our way. Because let's keep it real. If you're straight, you don't have to fight for anything. If you're straight, you're straight. This is the straight world we live in. You're not going to, the term fag bashed, you don't get straight bashed, you get fag bashed. So for people to get beat up just because of who they want to love doesn't make any sense. But, a lot of times the world doesn't make any sense. So, anywho, that's my story with that. So I was trying to not make it a race thing and make it more like a gay versus straight thing, so, but it's interesting how, because then I said, it's a white world we live in, then sort of race comes into play with it. So, but I didn't want that to be about that. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Did I just ramble on and made no sense? I hope that's not the case. But yeah, so adaptation, adapting, I think because of what we've gone through, especially getting older, just stuff in general, maybe gay people do it a little better. Just my thought. All right, guys. Regardless, whether you're gay, straight, or whatever, I hope you adapt well to things, and I love all my people regardless. I just happen to be gay, so of course I wanted to give the gay perspective. And, you know, for my own life, I know being bullied and picked on since kindergarten and being called faggot, and, you know, people trying to fuck with me since kindergarten, you know, you kind of learn to survive. And, you know, I am a savvy Bronx boy after all, so don't fuck with me, bitches. Alrighty. I love you guys. Thank you for indulging and for listening and for tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe, hit the notification button. Until the next time, love you.